He said he needed a weekend to clear his head. I gave him the weekend and cleared his side of the closet. When he came home, all that was left was a note that said, "Feeling clearer now. My name's Rachel. I'm 43, been living in Durham, North Carolina my whole life. I've always been the kind of person who keeps my head down, does my job, cooks dinner, and tries to be a good partner. For 10 years, I thought I was building something solid with my husband, Mike. We met when I was 32, and he was 35. He was charming in that easy, Southern way, knew how to make you laugh, knew when to listen, and always brought me coffee just the way I liked it. But charm doesn't pay the bills, and after a while, it started to feel like I was the only adult in the house. Mike bounced from one job to another. Couldn't seem to hold anything down. First it was the car dealership. Then he was selling insurance. Then working part-time at his friend's landscaping business. Meanwhile, I was managing accounts for a mid-sized law firm downtown, working 50-hour weeks, covering the mortgage and utilities while he figured things out. I should have walked years ago. But like I said, love makes you stupid. Or maybe just hopeful. The real cracks didn't show until the spring of last year. He got weird. Always on his phone, stepping outside to take calls. Started caring about his appearance again, hitting the gym, buying cologne, shaving more often. I asked him about it, of course. He said he was just getting back to himself. Right. Then came the weekend in October. We were sitting at the kitchen table. I was grading expense reports. He was sipping a beer. Out of nowhere, he said, "I think I need some space." I looked up, confused. Space? Yeah, he said. Just a weekend. I need to clear my head. Go down to Wilmington, maybe stay at that cabin Rick has near the beach. I stared at him. You're telling me this now? It's Thursday night. He shrugged. It's just a couple days, Rachel. I don't know where I'm at right now. I should have asked more questions. I should have yelled. But instead, I nodded. Okay, take your weekend. He seemed surprised I didn't argue. Maybe even relieved. He left Friday morning with a duffel bag, gave me a peck on the cheek like nothing was wrong. What he didn't know is that I knew. I'd known for weeks. The text from an unknown number. The name Shauna showing up on a hotel reservation confirmation in our shared email that he must have thought I wouldn't see. The charge for a fancy dinner in Raleigh on a night he said he was at poker night. I didn't say anything at first because I wasn't ready to act. But now I was. The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, I got to work. First, I called my sister. Asked if I could stay at her place for a few nights. Told her everything. She didn't hesitate. Bring wine. Then I called in a favor from my friend Melissa, who owns a moving company. Told her I needed a truck, no questions asked. Saturday morning, she and 2 of her guys showed up. In less than 3 hours, we cleared every single one of Mike's things out of the house. Clothes. Shoes. His stupid dumbbells he never used. His framed posters of Tar Heels games. Even the grill he loved more than me. I packed it all neatly in storage boxes and paid the first month's rent on a unit across town. Left the key and the code in an envelope on the kitchen counter. Then I stood in our bedroom, well, my bedroom now, and stared at the clean, empty right side of the closet. It was like a breath of fresh air. That's when I wrote the note. Simple. Just, feeling clearer now? I folded it and left it on top of the envelope. Then I grabbed my suitcase and went to my sister's. He got back Sunday night. I watched it all unfold from the Ring camera I hadn't told him I installed. The footage showed him unlocking the door, walking in, stopping dead. He turned in a slow circle, looking around like he'd walked into the wrong house. Then he called my name. Twice. When he saw the note, he didn't move for a full minute. Just stood there, staring at it. He never called me. 2 weeks later, I got an email. Not a call. Not a text. An email. He said he was sorry things happened this way and hoped I was doing well. I didn't respond. Let me start by saying I'm not the type to make scenes. I don't throw things, I don't yell in public, and I don't key cars. I'm not that woman. But I am the type who takes notes. Who pays attention. And when you lie to me long enough, I won't scream, I'll just make sure you don't see it coming when I finally walk away. I'm Rachel. I'm 43, no kids, been married to Mike for 10 years. We live, or used to live, in Durham, North Carolina. I've got a steady job at a law firm downtown. I've always paid the bills on time. Always kept our house clean. I did everything right. And for the longest time, I thought that meant something. Mike and I met when I was 32. He was 3 years older, a little rough around the edges but funny. People liked him. He made people feel good at first. He was working at a used car lot when we met, said he wanted to run his own dealership one day. I believed him. I believed a lot of things. The first few years weren't bad. But over time, something in him shifted. He quit the car job. Then he bounced around from insurance to warehouse work to helping his friend with a landscaping gig. Nothing stuck. He'd get excited about something for 2 months, then drop it the minute it got hard. Meanwhile, I worked full-time and picked up contract work on the weekends just to cover the mortgage. I paid for the new roof. I paid for the repairs when he backed the truck into the mailbox and dented the garage. I paid for everything. He just stayed home, watched YouTube videos, played fantasy football. He always had some excuse. They don't treat me right, or that place is a dead end, or I'm still figuring out what I really want. And stupid me, I let it go on. I thought maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe this was just a rough patch. Everyone said marriage was hard. So I kept pushing through it. But something changed last fall. He started dressing better. Started going to the gym again, slicking his hair back like he did when we first met. He'd come home smelling like cologne, like he'd sprayed it on in the car right before walking in. Started taking calls outside, always stepping out when I came into the room. And his phone? Always face down. Always locked. I'm not dumb. I didn't say anything right away. I wanted to be sure. So I waited. Watched. One night while he was in the shower, I went through his email on the old laptop. He didn't think I knew the password. Turns out, he forgot it auto-saved on Chrome. That's when I saw it. A hotel confirmation from a boutique place in Raleigh. For 2 guests. Reserved under his name and someone named Shauna. That stung. Not because I didn't expect it, but because it confirmed everything I had been afraid of. And then there was the dinner receipt from a steakhouse downtown, the same night he told me he was going to Rick's for poker. I printed everything. I didn't confront him. Not yet. The moment that sealed it was that Thursday night. He came home around 6, tossed his keys on the counter, cracked open a beer, and sat at the table like he had something on his mind. I was standing at the stove, heating up leftovers. He said, "I think I need some space this weekend." I turned around. Space? He nodded, avoiding eye contact. Just a couple days. I need to clear my head. Gonna go to the coast. Rick said I could use his cabin near Wilmington. I didn't say anything right away. Just looked at him. He wouldn't look back. "It's nothing against you," he added. "I just need time to think. Things have been heavy lately." Heavy for who? I wanted to say. But I didn't. I just said, "All right." He looked surprised. Like he expected a fight. But I wasn't going to give him one. The next morning, he left with a duffel bag, a smug little grin on his face like he'd just pulled one over on me. I kissed him on the cheek and waved from the porch. Then I went inside, locked the door behind me, and started planning. I called my sister first. Asked if I could stay with her through the weekend. Told her why. She said, "Bring whatever you need. And I hope you're planning to burn all his crap." I wasn't. I had something better in mind. Saturday morning, my friend Melissa showed up with a moving truck and 2 guys from her crew. We spent 3 hours clearing everything out of that house that belonged to Mike. Every shirt, every shoe, every single stupid thing. His lazy boy chair, gone. His dumb man cave stuff from the garage, boxed up. His grill? Packed and loaded. Even his leftover protein powder in the trash. I rented a storage unit across town and paid for the first month. Left the key and entry code in a sealed envelope on the kitchen counter. Then I cleaned up the closet, wiped down the shelves, vacuumed the floor, lit a candle. I wrote a note. It said, "Feeling clearer now?" I left it sitting right in the middle of the empty side of the closet. The rest of the room was spotless, like he'd never lived there at all. Then I grabbed my bag and drove to my sister's. That Sunday night, I watched him come home through the Ring camera I'd installed without telling him. He opened the door, stepped inside, then froze. He stood there for a full minute. Then I saw him walk down the hall, probably to the bedroom, probably to the closet. He didn't come back into view for another 10 minutes. When he did, he was holding the note. He looked right at the camera. I could tell he was trying to figure out if I was watching. I didn't blink. He didn't call, didn't text. Just left that night and didn't come back for his things. 2 weeks later, I got an email. 2 weeks after I cleared the closet, he finally reached out. Not a call, not even a text. An email. The subject line just said, "Hey." I clicked it open, heart beating fast, even though I didn't want it to. "Rachel, I'm not going to lie, I didn't expect you to do that. You caught me off guard. I guess I deserved it. I'm sorry things happened this way. I've been staying at Rick's for now. I just wanted to say I hope you're doing okay. Let me know if you want to talk." Mike, no apology for cheating. No asking for forgiveness. Just a limp, half-assed attempt to save face. I didn't respond. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. The next week, I started getting messages from an unknown number. At first, I ignored them. But they kept coming. "You think you're better than him? He gave you everything and you threw it away. Hope it was worth it, bitch." I blocked the number. Then another one started texting. And another. That's when I realized something. It wasn't just him. He told her. He told Shauna. And she told her friends. How do I know? One of the texts mentioned the name of the storage unit I rented. That detail wasn't in the note. He had to have told her where I put his stuff. Now, I wasn't just getting harassed. I was being followed. I noticed a white SUV parked across from my office 2 days in a row. Same one. Out of county plates. Then I saw it again at the grocery store lot while I was checking out. I walked outside, and it drove off slowly, windows tinted. I went to the police, filed a report for harassment. They said unless something physical happened, there wasn't much they could do. I felt sick. Angry. But mostly done. I wasn't scared. Not exactly. I was furious. This man lied to me, stole years of my life, cheated, and now he was letting his trash new girlfriend and her loser friends harass me like I was the problem? Hell no. So I dug in. I still had access to a lot more than he realized. When we were married, I handled everything, the bills, the accounts, even his email. And Mike, being lazy as always, never changed his passwords. He had no idea I could still log in. I found emails between him and Shauna. Found messages where he bragged about getting away with it and how I was too uptight to ever do anything. I even found one where he called me a cold, bitter bitch who was just mad because I couldn't keep a man. That's when I stopped being mad and started planning again. I had every receipt, every charge, every bit of financial paper trail from the last 3 years of our marriage. And it was time to make sure the world and Shauna saw who he really was. I printed out every record showing how I paid for everything. From the $4,800 down payment on his truck, to the $1,200 vet bill for his dog, to the Valentine's Day trip to Asheville he swore he covered but was on my card the whole time. I put it all in a folder. Then I found Shauna's salon. She did lashes and brows in a tiny shop on the west side of town. I walked in there one afternoon with the folder in hand, looked her dead in the face, and said, "You can have him. But I figured you should know what kind of man you're taking on." Then I left the folder on the front desk and walked out without another word. I don't know what happened after that, but I do know I stopped getting texts. And 3 days later, Mike finally called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, though. Voice shaking, said he needed to talk, that he didn't know it would go this far, that he lost everything. I played it twice, then deleted it. After I deleted that voicemail, I figured that was it. He was embarrassed, exposed. Probably scrambling to fix things with Shauna, assuming she even stuck around after reading what I dropped on her lap. But I underestimated how petty he could get. The next twist didn't come from Mike directly. It came from my boss. I was called into HR on a Thursday afternoon. Said there'd been a formal complaint. My stomach dropped. The HR director, Deb, a no-nonsense woman who always wore the same navy pantsuit, sat me down and said there'd been an anonymous report accusing me of misusing client information for personal gain. I laughed. I thought it was a mistake. It wasn't. Someone had emailed a copy of a legal invoice with my name on it and doctored it to make it look like I funneled client funds to a private storage unit. Said I'd embezzled firm money. I could barely speak. I knew exactly what this was. Mike had taken the copy of the storage unit invoice, one I paid with my own card, and edited it. He was trying to tank my job. I explained everything. Brought my own receipts. Showed my personal credit card charges. Showed the storage unit confirmation with my home address, not the firm's. It took HR 2 days to clear me, but the damage was done. People at the firm started whispering. Some coworkers wouldn't meet my eyes in the break room. One paralegal flat out asked, "What's going on with you and your ex?" I was humiliated. And I was done playing defense. I dug deeper. I knew Mike didn't have a job, but that's not the same as not having income. So I called an old contact who used to work in financial compliance and asked for help looking into public records. Took a few days, but she found something interesting. Mike had opened a side business under my maiden name. He registered it with the state as R. Keen Consulting, claiming it was for digital marketing services. But I never gave him permission to use my name. The address was listed at Rick's Place and the website linked to a Shell account. I knew what he was doing. He was laundering money, hiding whatever little income he had, possibly under the table, probably doing low-level scam work or freelancing through sketchy sites. So I reported him. I filed a fraud complaint with the state business registry. Attached my ID, marriage license, and proof that I never consented to my name being used. I flagged the IRS, too. Just a quiet little submission, no fanfare. I didn't tell anyone. Then, like clockwork, 2 weeks later, Mike showed up at my sister's. He didn't knock. Just stood out front by her gate, yelling my name like a madman. I watched from the kitchen window. He looked rough. Gaunt. Eyes puffy. Hair grown out. Face patchy. The confident smirk he used to wear like armor was gone. "I know what you did," he yelled. "You think this is funny?" My sister came out with a broom in her hand like a baseball bat. "You got 5 seconds to get off my lawn or I'm calling the cops." He didn't move. So I stepped out, calm as can be. Looked him straight in the eye. "You used my name," I said. "You tried to ruin my job. You don't get to play victim now." He stepped closer, but I didn't flinch. "I've got nothing now," he said. "You made sure of that." "Good," I said. "Then maybe you'll finally figure out who you are without leeching off someone else." He left. Slowly, still mouthing things I couldn't hear. Probably more lies, more excuses. That night, I poured myself a drink and stared at the empty driveway where he used to park. I wasn't afraid anymore. But I wasn't done, either. After that night at my sister's, Mike went quiet. No more calls. No more emails. No more yelling outside the gate. I almost started to believe he was done. Then, 3 months later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Mike was suing me. Not for divorce that had already been filed and signed off on. No, he was suing me for emotional distress. Said I intentionally ruined his reputation and livelihood, that I damaged his personal and professional relationships through acts of targeted revenge. I sat there holding the letter, stunned. He wanted money. Thought I'd settle just to avoid the mess. But I didn't settle. I called my firm's senior partner, the same guy who'd seen me work 10-hour days and save a dozen clients from lawsuits that could have buried them. When I told him what was going on, he laughed. Then he said, "Let's make him wish he'd stayed in Wilmington." My firm represented me. Pro bono. We subpoenaed his emails, his phone records, even pulled video footage from the apartment where he and Shauna had briefly lived before she kicked him out. I had texts, receipts, photos, timelines. I had everything. He had a lawyer who clearly didn't know what they were walking into. The case didn't last long. The judge threw it out in less than an hour. Called it an abuse of the court's time. But it didn't end there. My lawyer filed a countersuit. Defamation. Fraud. Unauthorized use of identity. Harassment. And we won. The court ordered him to pay damages. Not a lot, a few thousand, but enough to leave him scrambling. That's when the real consequences started. Mike was broke. Couldn't hold down a job, and now he had a legal judgment on his record. His credit tanked. The truck I'd helped him buy got repossessed. I heard from Rick's girlfriend that Mike ended up couch hopping for months, begging old high school friends for cash, even tried going back to his mom's place, and she slammed the door in his face. As for Shauna, she vanished. Her salon shut down. Word is, she moved to Florida. Guess starting drama wasn't as fun when there were court papers involved. And me? I finally moved out of that house. Sold it for a decent price and got a small place out in Hillsboro, quiet, full of light, and all mine. But I'm not going to lie and say I walked away clean. There were days I felt sick over what I did. Nights I'd lie awake thinking, maybe I went too far. Maybe I should have just walked away. Maybe revenge didn't make me feel as good as I thought it would. But then I'd remember that note I left him. Feeling clearer now? I guess I wrote it for both of us. Because now I see it all for what it really was. He didn't just cheat on me, he used me. He made me doubt myself. Made me feel like being the responsible one, the boring one, meant I didn't deserve love, just silence and crumbs. So yeah, I cleared the closet. I cleared the house. I cleared my name. And in the end, I cleared out a decade of my life that I never should have spent on him. I made mistakes. I stayed too long. I ignored red flags. And maybe I didn't need to scorch the earth when I left. But I did. And it was the cleanest I'd felt in years.